Here is our exclusive interview with Jeffrey Giuliano of Squid Game. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to be here with Mr. Jeffrey Giuliano. This is a man who's a jack of all trades. He's been an author. He has started his own audiobook company. And of course, you probably mostly know him as from his role on the worldwide phenomenon of Squid Game, which we'll obviously get into at some point. Mr. Giuliano, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity very much. I love doing these things.
Awesome, awesome. So to start off, really easy, just, tell us the Jeffrey Giuliano story. What in life got you to the point where you're sitting down there talking to us?
Well, I was always aware that I wanted to be an actor from a very early age of 5 or 6, maybe something like that. And when I was 12, I got involved with community theater, which is a sort of phenomena they don't have too much anymore. It was a great experience. I learned a lot there, and it confirmed the idea that I wanted to be an actor. I then went to community college as an theater student, and graduated. Then I went and got a master's degree. I did dinner theater. I did Shakespeare in the Park. I did children's theater. I did all the things that I don't think people really do too much anymore. This has benefited me a great deal because I now have a kind of bag of tricks that I can rely upon in pretty much any situation to create a character on the spot. Which is what you have to do when you do an audition. So I'm good at cold readings of a script. I'm good at ad-libbing or creating something from thin air. And these are the things that have allowed me to be successful with directors. So generally speaking, in the casting process, if one has to go through all these gatekeepers, of which there are always many, if you can somehow jump over that and get to the director, I pretty much always get the part. Not always, and if I don't get the part, it's my fault. Something that I later thought, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. So directors like me, and they cast me. Now, the reason I'm sitting here today, and I'm an integral part of the Squid Game phenomena, is that I made a movie in Korea called Peninsula Train to Busan, which you can see on Netflix now. I had a good part in there. It was the role was largely improvisational, which is how I like to work. I'm less effective when I'm constrained and locked into the exact words of the script, as I was with Squid Game. The director saw me in Peninsula. In the meantime, I came back to Bangkok and made a movie called Kate with Woody Harrelson. And I was invited to cast for this. So I cast, they said yes. Then there was some negotiation, probably about money between my agents and managers. And then they said, okay, well, it didn't, no, sorry, it's not, okay. I said, fine. Because, you cannot invest yourself emotionally and get hurt or feel rejected, or you'll just jump off a building, as I've seen actors do. So I just if I get a part, that's great. If I don't get a part, also great. So I just said, fine. But 2 weeks later, they called back and said, okay, you have the part, made the arrangements, and then I went to Korea and did the role. I know you're going to ask me if I had any idea it was going to be successful, and the answer is nobody did. Nobody had, not the director, not Netflix, and I can give you proof of that. The director didn't get much money. And regardless what they say in the press, the actors didn't get much money either. Now, they got more money than you do, probably, for doing what you do. I mean, they got money commensurate to their having a good part in a Netflix TV series in Korea, which is considered the hinterland, of show business. So no one thought it was going to be that. The director has made statements in the media that, I don't have much money. Yeah, well, he's going to get a lot of, didn't get much for the first show, but I guarantee you when he negotiates the contract for the second show, unless which is the probability that he already negotiated for the second show in the first contract. But even so, with all that success, the lawyers will come in and they'll renegotiate stuff. That's the way it always is. But not to digress and wander into the weeds about finances, you know, I didn't read the whole script. Now they do this for security reasons because they don't want the script floating around, you know, and somehow gets on the internet. So they just give you the piece of the script that you're responsible for. So when I got on that set, I had no idea what this was about. I saw those guys in the pink suits with the helmet on, and I thought, oh, okay, and nothing, just extras. I didn't have, wasn't too much I could think or say about it. I didn't know what it was all about. I went in and I spent the time that I spent there, a couple of weeks doing my part, and then I went home. And so you know, it only when I got here did I understand it broke. But there's a funny story about that. About a week before it broke, I was in my son's bedroom and just sort of seeing he was okay before I went to bed. And his foot was hanging off the bed, and I put his foot and I put the blanket over, and there was a big moonbeam coming in the room, and I just kind of looked at that moonbeam and I said out loud, well, Jeff, dude, you tried, you're well over 60 years old. You did everything people told you had to do your whole life. You know, you made 28 movies, but at the end of the day, you didn't make it. It doesn't really add up to too much of anything, but you tried, and that's it. And you're not going to be any kind of big actor. 2 weeks later, or a week later, a few days later, whatever it was, Squid Game came, and Newsweek put out a headline, Jeffrey Giuliano becomes global star, which is a ridiculous, you know, it's hyperbolic thing to say. I'm not a global star, certainly. But anyway, Newsweek is a big deal for my generation in America, like Time Magazine. And so for Newsweek to have a big picture of me that says Jeffrey Giuliano was a global star, kind of have to believe them. So that's kind of the road that took me from total obscurity, not total obscurity, because I wrote 32 books from 1984 to 2006, from which I cumulatively grossed $9 million. So, you know, I was a well-known guy, respected, but not in acting. So I made 20, when I became, in 2006, I made my first movie. Although I had a master's degree in acting, I put it aside to be a writer. So then I simply, nobody noticed those 28 movies until Squid Game. Now, when I say nobody noticed, I mean the public. The public had no idea who I was. But in Hollywood, they know very well who I am, and they continue to give me parts. So I was known in the industry, completely unknown to the public.
Wow, that is awesome to hear. You know, speaking of, you know, you saying nobody saw those 28 movies until after Squid Game, I think that's just one of the backhanded compliments that can happen in the film industry, is when you create something and you put it out there, it's immortalized on film forever. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to get discovered right away. You know, you have things like Squid Game, which are become overnight worldwide phenomenons. Then you have other things that you make that, you know, someone comes up to you and says, oh, I loved you in X. And you're like, really? Like, no one cared about it when it came out. You know, have you ever had a situation where
every day?
Yeah, really?
Yeah. That's, you know, I hadn't thought about it in those terms, and you're absolutely right. Now people are saying, oh, I loved you in Scorpion King 3. I loved you in Peninsula. I loved you in Mechanic Resurrection with Tommy Lee Jones and Jason Statham. You know, but, you know, it's been a very heartbreaking and difficult road for me. I starred in 3 movies that were never released for legal reasons that had nothing to do with me, you know? And I thought, all right, it's going to happen now. I'm starring in it. I went to Cambodia. I played the CIA agent on the run, and from the CIA, who opened a brothel. It's a really good movie. You can see on YouTube a clip from it called Why Do Lonely Men Come to Southeast Asia on the Jeffrey Giuliano channel. It's there. So I just have a few clips from these movies. But I've had I mean, I've had luck, and it's a pendulum. It swings this way and it swings back the other way. But I know I've been alive long enough to tell everybody that's younger, if they don't already know it, things can either go right or they can either go wrong. They go wrong a lot more than they go right. And when you put yourself up to try to be, look, I'm not trying to be like the manager of a bookstore. I'm trying to be a movie star here. That's a tall order. That's a big bite out of life. That's a lot of people want to fill that position, and there's only very few. So I can't even say I've been lucky. The pendulum swung back the other way, and I'm sitting here trying to take full advantage of it so that I can move my art, because ultimately, at the end of the day, that's what it is, an art form. There's all this marketing and bullshit around it, but it's some internal process that the actor goes through where he tries to become or comes very close to becoming somebody else. It's a kind of an insane thing, a process that you do, but it is not easy, apparently. It's easy for me because I can do it, but I guess other people, it's very difficult. I don't know if it's like being in Cirque du Soleil or playing the violin. Those things seem very difficult to me because I can't do them. But the thing that becoming another person, speaking another accent, taking on other mannerisms is something I can do. But there's so much that gets in the way between me doing the thing that I have trained my whole life to do and doing it, that it's rather disheartening.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit to something you said about your acting style being you prefer being very improvisational. I was just going to follow up and ask, do you have any people that when you were, training to be an actor who worked did a lot of improv that you kind of looked up to and said, I kind of want to follow that same vein? Because I know a lot of
my acting heroes are Dennis Hopper. And obviously everybody in The Godfather. There's a particular actor who played Frank Pantangeles in Godfather 2, Frankie Five Angels. He was actually the head of theater at Yale University, but he played this kind of, hey, Michael, he played a kind of hoodlum, which is not difficult to do. I do that all the time because of my Sicilian background and the way I look and stuff. I played mafia people mostly in all the movies. I've played some pirates and some Vikings, but generally speaking, I'll play that mafia part, and it's a no-brainer for me. Improvisation is the soul of acting. I consider the script the skeletal structure upon which the artist hangs his own interpretation. Now, a lot of directors like Quentin Tarantino don't go for that at all. We're paying you, which is true. We've hired you, you're an employee, and you're gonna, and I want you to say every word that's on that script. If you work with a writer-director, you're never gonna get an inch of interpretation, because scripts are not written, they are bled. So some guy is sitting in a crappy room. He already said he sold his computer for $600 so he could continue to live while he wrote Squid Game. Some guy's living in some shitty room and he's writing this thing that he thinks probably no one will ever read, and he suffers, and his wife leaves, and he can't pay the bills, and the credit card bills. So it's such a painful process that if you finally get it together to be, be directing a movie that you wrote with Netflix or a series, you don't want some goofy guy coming in off the street changing your shit. I completely understand that. However, there has to be some trust in the fact that we're professionals. I'm not just some college kid. I know how to do this. So it's such an interesting example to me. I made 2 Korean movies. Peninsula, they had a script, and I just freestyled on that script. And I'm very proud of the performance. Anybody can see it. It's at jeffreygiuliano.com. Just go to cinema and you can see all my movies and press it. I was able to freestyle. It worked out great. Nobody said a word. I made up about 35% of the dialogue, or I added to it, probably more would be more accurate. And it was great. It's more difficult to me and doesn't ring. You can get closer to the truth of a character through adding something of your own rather than just at what I call being a tape recorder. You know, I'll tell you something that happened on the set of Squid Game. I was doing some lines, and they stopped me because I forgot to use the word "and." I used some other conjunction, and I went, okay, sorry. No. Now it's not just stopping. 300 fucking people have to stop. It's a big deal to stop when you're doing a big Netflix movie on a huge set with cranes and, you know. So finally, after the third time, I said, "What difference does it make?" And everybody was quiet. They looked at the floor. Because it doesn't make any difference if I didn't say "and." It just doesn't make any difference. And then they said, the girl said, a kind of a snotty girl said, "Well, it's not what's in the script, but the director says it's okay." Well, fuck you. You know, I mean, just get a tape recorder, pay a tape recorder, put a robe and a mask on a tape recorder, and let it repeat all the lines. Look, there's an old joke. How do you make an actor complain? Give him a job. I'm not complaining. It's great to be some kind of movie star. It's terrific. You know, it's what I've worked for my whole life. So I'm just trying to be real with people. You know, I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. I love Netflix. I love Squid Game. I've made 3 movies with Netflix. I hope I do 100 more. But I think it's important to trust the actor that you've hired to bring something to the table. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And, you know, obviously, you know, with our background, we've made micro budget short films. And even on that extremely small level, you know, if I didn't trust people coming onto the set to at least bring some spice, because sometimes it's hard for filmmakers, especially on bigger scales that you've worked on, to admit that maybe, just maybe, they don't have the best idea in the room. And you always want to give people the ability, especially professionals, to bring something new to the table, because it can only make it better. Because with film,
fuck it up also. They can, it's not a slam dunk. It's automatically better. If Jimi Hendrix is given some music and Eric Clapton is given some music, do you think they'll play that Mary Had a Little Lamb the same way? They will not. They will interpret. They will put their own spin. They will put their life experience, their talent, all goes into that. Now, that's not to say that I portrayed this VIP4 exactly. I still had a little room. I had a little room. Like there's a thing where I do the guy, yeah, you know, I call him over like that. That wasn't in the script. And when I call the guy over, "Hey, you know, that also wasn't in the script." So there was some latitude there. And again, I'm not in any way complaining. This is a kind of something I'd say in front of the director if we had a roundtable discussion. If you're going to hire an actor and you're going to pay him a lot of money, which they did, use him. Let him bring, but sometimes it's not convenient. Now, one of the things that a director could say to this as a counter argument is, "Hey, Mr. Giuliano, you didn't read the whole script. You don't know what's coming next, what's gone before. How can you comment or contribute that much in it meaningfully if you don't know what the hell's going on?" And that's absolutely correct. So I'm not talking about big, huge leaps. In fact, we should stop talking about this. I've gone to something else. I'm just talking about little flavors, little, you know, hitting the note ding instead of ding, you know, just little tiny, small little things that bring the character to life for me. All right, let's talk about something else.
all right, yeah, let's talk about some of your career as a writer. You know, you have a bunch of, you know, luxurious, amazing things that you've done. And, you know, a lot of our main audience would only know you from Squid Game. So, you know, inform us on some of your ventures in writing.
Okay, well, I never had a writing class. And I was after I got my master's degree, I was hired to be Ronald McDonald on those stupid TV commercials. And of course, I didn't want to do that, but I had 2 children and I didn't have a job and it paid a lot of money. So I did it. But that contract ended. I was living in Toronto at the time and I didn't know what to do. I had nothing. So I called a publisher and said, I know a lot about the Beatles. Would you like a Beatle book? And they said, that's really weird. We're just sitting here talking about, we need a Beatles book. And that became a huge international smash in 1984, I believe, might have been 86. And then people just kept giving me money for 20 years. So I sat in a big mansion writing books, but it wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't what I was put on this earth to do. I did it. It was very successful. But after 20 years, I said, no, man, I'm like 50, whatever I was, 50 something. I said, I got no more. Can't do this anymore. I need to do the thing that I want to do, which is in my heart, which is act. And so I've been making movies ever since.
Awesome, awesome. With you, doing your passion, acting, and yes, you have a master's degree in acting. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's a meaningless piece of paper, but go ahead.
So I was a communications major, so.
Yeah. No.
Well, when I went to college, there was like you go in the gymnasium and it says math department, science department, theater, this department, that department. And I saw that there was all these kind of goofy guys standing around the other departments, but in the theater department, there were some good looking girls. So I thought, well, that's where I'm going to go there and be an actor.
Genius.
Yeah.
Genius. With, you living your passion, being an actor, was there anything from past things, whether it be writing or any other jobs or life experiences that you had other than what you learned in school that you think really helped contribute to bring your characters and how, your acting style to life? Do you pull from other life experiences with what you do now?
Everything that happened to me. And I have lived a very, I guess, atypical life. I've lived all over the world. I'm speaking to you now from Bangkok. I've spent a lot of time in India. I've been involved with the Indian religions. I've traveled widely all through the world. My political and social views are to the left. And I'm very interested in us using this short period of time that we're all alive to try to affect some kind of positive influence. I don't put any stock in the fact that I issued from a vagina in 1953 in a particular geographical location, and therefore that is somehow superior to issuing from a vagina down the street in Pakistan or India or Ceylon or Rome. That's stupid. It's called ethnocentrism, and it means that, I'm up, and everything else comes from that. Patriotism, religion, all these things come from that. Well, I'm American, and these are our values. Dude, your mother could have been on vacation in Portugal, and you could have slipped out there. So then Portugal becomes the place. So there's a lot of stupid shit that I don't subscribe to. My favorite comedian is George Carlin. So that would tell you something about me. I've been able to somehow overcome dumb stuff and kind of hit to the heart of some kind of seminal truth, which is the same for all of us. I'll tell you when I first realized it. I was at a school dance in 6th, 7th grade at Madison Junior High School in Tampa. And it said, gentlemen must wear a tie, but I wore a turtleneck sweater. So Miss Hinson, the guidance counselor, called me into her office, unlocked it, and said, Mr. Giuliano, did you not see that gentlemen are to wear a tie to the school dance? Well, I might have, but I just wanted to wear the tie. Mr. Giuliano, it's not manly to wear a turtleneck. It's manly to wear a tie. And I said, yes, ma'am, or whatever I said, but if this was a Coen Brothers movie, you'd kind of see a little bubble of me saying, lady, you're full of shit. and your world is over. And what you say has no influence on anybody but yourself. You're in some kind of echo chamber of old ideas. And it doesn't make any fucking difference if I wear a tie or I wear a turtleneck. What the fuck is wrong with you? You know? So I just knew that most of what you experience in life is phony. It's acculturated, nonsensical, imaginary, phony bullshit. And I've been able to, I'm only speaking to you in this way because I already see that you're serious guys. You know, you could be the new Coen brothers right there, you know? So I'm trying to be a little bit, you know, I'm not being so glib as I would normally be in an interview and try to hit something that's a little bit important. But you see, my grasp of reality, there's many realities. There's something called consensus reality, which is a lie that we all choose to agree upon. Okay, so this is all a lie, but we're just going to pretend that it isn't and agree. That's called consensus reality. Those really don't, just like Miss Henson in the 7th grade, I don't buy that shit. I understand that there's many, many, many realities all happening at the same time. And I kind of surf through those realities, and that has given me a much wider palette as an artist to choose the colors to do my work. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I appreciate that you are kind of, you know, being very, what's the word I'm looking for? You're not being fake in, you know, in the interview, you know, you're telling it how it is, you're being yourself, and you're just expressing how you think and how you feel. And honestly,
look, please understand something. We are carbon-based life forms that have this organic computer that runs who we are. Well, who we are, we don't know who we are. We know that we're carbon-based life forms. We know there's a computer that's sort of kind of running this thing. But who we are, who's sitting in the car, who's in the driver's seat, who is that I, who is that we, that's still up for grabs. Some people think it's the material body. Some people think it's the mind. Some people think it's the intelligence. Some people think it's the soul. I've spent a lot of time in my 60+ years trying to understand who it is we are. And not just, as Shakespeare said, in this bank and shoal of time, but what happened before? What happens after? How big are we? I think it's like some Titanic ship, where there's a little thing sticking up out of the water, our life, but there's a whole bunch of big shit, which is you can't see, which is under the surface. So I have more interest in the big thing, as the Titanic should have, of that which is not immediately perceptible, than the thing which is like obvious, like, you want to get some lunch? What are we doing? Hey, how you doing, sweetheart? Whatever it is, you know? I have more interest in those unseen things, which I believe are the larger part of who we are.
Yeah, and you know, this may sound weird, but you know, you saying, you know, there's that part inside you that's up for grabs, like that's one of the reasons why I personally, you know, I gravitate towards movies and storytelling so much, is because a lot of movies and different types of storytelling is exploring that very thing, exploring characters who are looking at what's up for grabs within themselves, and you know, through some sort of plot and story and exploration and art.
If you watch True Romance, that scene with Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper, that's about as much truth as you can get out of a movie. You know, just look it up. Put True Romance, Dennis Hopper, Christopher Walken, and watch that 10-minute scene. And that is the kind of thing that I'm always pushing for in my work. Now, you two guys strike me in a certain way. If you have any film that you would like me to contribute to, I'll be more than happy to act in your film for free. So just let me know if there's something coming up that you want me to do or collaborate with. You know, I'll be happy to do it to help you guys out for sure, as I can.
This is very much appreciated.
Yeah, well, that's extremely kind of you.
Very
Thank you for
kind.
saying that.
Yes.
Speaking of just, movies and the love of movies, you've thrown out some excellent names, both acting and directing. Are there any dream people that you haven't worked with yet that you are just dying and really want to work with, both directing and acting wise?
Well, I have a story about that. I made a movie with Michael Madsen from Reservoir Dogs called The Fifth Execution. I was his sidekick in the movie. I was with him for 6 weeks. And for some weird reason, and this has happened a few times, I got cut out of that movie, except for 10 seconds or something. But I was with Michael Madsen for weeks. And one of the first things I said to him, which I probably shouldn't have because he was uncomfortable, I said, I just want to tell you that of all the people that I have a desire to work with, you're really one of them, and it's a great opportunity. People don't like to hear this kind of shit, especially somebody like Michael Madsen. But that was I learned more from being on a set and watching Michael Madsen work. I've worked with William Hurt, who won an Academy Award for Kiss of the Spider Woman. Now I didn't like him personally, but he was a great actor. But I learned more, and I've worked with Patrick Stewart. I've worked with Tommy Lee Jones. I've worked with many famous actors, but I learned more from Michael than I have Michael Madsen than any actor. Just watching how he worked, there was something I did. There was some technique that I learned from him that had eluded me. He's so aware of everything because he has such experience that he would understand that a camera has to come around this way to get him in the shot. So I would notice he did an unnatural pause when we were doing some dialogue. And I thought, why is he doing that? And I thought, oh shit, he's doing that so that camera has time to track and come around and leave an edit space in there. So this guy's like completely aware of everything that's going on. I'm lucky if I can remember my fucking lines and relate to the actor in front of me. but this guy's like, he's doing his lines, he's doing his emotion, he's doing all of these internal processes going on, but he's also understanding that the camera's coming around on a crane. It's going to take a second or two to get there, and he's got to leave a little pause so that they can do an edit later on in the editing suite. I don't have that kind of consciousness. That absolutely happened.
Wow,
that's wild, just to have that sort of awareness of just all the moving everything. Parts, the mechanics, and to be able to do that with the timing and everything as well. Yeah. That's
because we're doing the scene, and he just stopped. It's like, well, I was thinking about having dinner tonight. What about you? Would you like to have dinner? And I thought, why the fuck did he forget the line? And then I looked up and I saw that the guy in the little seat up there with the camera coming around, and I thought, oh shit, he stopped so that they got everything.
The editor probably loved him for that.
Well, on my first movie, Jules Verne's The Mysterious Island with Patrick Stewart, the DOP came up to me, said, oh, you're from Rochester. This is my first day in a movie set. He said, you're from Rochester. I said, yeah, I'm from. He says, I'm from Rochester too. Hey, Jeff, let me explain something to you. When you do a close-up, you're acting in a box. We're going to put a camera right up here, and it's going to be right up around. You got about 2 inches on either side. If you start doing this stuff, you're going to be out of the scene. We don't have time to fuck around. We're going to move on, and you're not going to get your close-up. So a close-up is acting in a box. Don't move your fucking head, or you're going to be out of frame, out of focus, and we're just going to have to move on. I made a movie called Hard Target 2, and I was supposed to, shoot somebody. I was supposed to shoot somebody, and I screwed it up 3 or 4 times, and it was a big scene for me, big close-up for me in Hard Target 2. And the director said, okay, let's move on, moving on. I lost my close-up. So you have to be keenly aware of everything that's going, and that only comes with experience and time. You just have to learn that stuff. So I can act, but technique comes later. For me, acting came first. Oh, I know how to act. I can do this. I can talk to you. But your mother died. Oh, I'm so upset. Whatever it is. I can do all that, but I'm not aware of the camera. I'm not aware of my surroundings. In fact, when I get into a heavy scene, sometimes I blur my eyes so I don't even see anybody, which works because they're professional and they pick it up on their end. But if you go back to the Michael Madsen story, and he's aware of everything, and that's probably a superior position.
The movement definitely does play a huge role trying to figure it out, because that's just another layer on top of remembering the lines, delivering everything correctly.
It's another piece of the story.
I mean, I'm not an actor. I just, I co-host the podcast, but the Italian in both of us, I always ask him, like, where's how much? Because I get going and I'm like, all over that place.
I have women. It could be men, but it was women. I live in Thailand, and I'll go, well, I don't know. And they'll go, why are you yelling at me? I'm not yelling at you. I'm just Sicilian. There's a difference. But you moved your hands. You're going to hit me. I said, no, I'm Sicilian. That's what we do.
Believe me, I already got my my earplugs packed for Thanksgiving, going back home to see.
Oh man, yeah. Talking about working with these amazing actors, working on sets, and getting into characters. Was there ever a scene that you had to film where the character or the situation or something? Because even on a professional level, there are some scenes or characters that really can just get into somebody's head and psyche, and it just really affects their ability to act in the scene, their ability to cool off afterwards. Has that ever happened to you with any particular character that you've done?
Yeah, in the movie I starred in that was never released, where I played a CIA. Well, no, I played two movies I played CIA guys. But this one was, I was dying, and I was estranged from my son, and we had a bad relationship, but he was the only person that could be a donor for me to stay alive. So an organ donor. So I had to figure out, so that was, and that's also on my YouTube channel. I can't remember the name of the film right now, which is a mark of the fact that I've made many films and I'm getting old. But in this particular film, there was a lot of dialogue, and it was very emotional. And I'm talking about my son. I know, I made up something at the end that wasn't in the script. I said, this is the line. I ended the scene. Carolyn, the son can forget the father, but the father can never forget the son. Now, that wasn't in the script, but it's something I actually read in some Krishna conscious literature. I'm a little bit involved with the Hare Krishna movement. And they were talking about Krishna, that you, living entity, can forget God, but God can never forget you. So I just turned that around. This was something where from my life, I was able to pull out an actual line. And I didn't think about this in advance. It was like I was in a mood about losing your children and being old and dying. And I just said, Carolyn, the son can forget the father, but the father can never forget the son. It just came. Where the fuck did it come from? So I'll tell you where it came from. An actor has all these things floating up. I call it my bag of tricks. And so sometimes consciously you reach into your bag of tricks and pull something out to approximate a character. And sometimes it's just there. It just there's a little blank, and it just floats up from the subconscious and fills the blank. And if you watch that scene, there's no acting there. It's real. If you watch me real as real can be without being that person in that situation with a camera in front of you, there's a few places there's been a transcendent experience, which is something other than some kind of goofy acting in a sitcom or some crappy shit that everybody thinks is wonderful. Peninsula Train to Busan, you can see me, and I defy anyone to show me where I'm acting in that film. That looks pretty much like being to me. Martin Scorsese says, we're not looking for acting. In fact, something happened to me in drama school. There was a director, and he was in the back of the theater. And he said, yeah, all right, Jeffrey, that's very impressive. Could we cut out all the acting and get on with the show, please? And I never forgot that, you know, because I'm able to do all this acting stuff, but I had to unlearn a lot of what I learned and just throw it aside to just try and be. And that's where the meditation came in. That's where the Indian philosophy came in. That's why seeing life as a consensus reality as a tip of an iceberg, and the greater part underneath and unseen, but still influencing us at all times, you know? Like, we don't think about our heart beating or our breathing or anything, but these things are going on, obviously. We don't see electricity, but it's lighting the room. You know, so there's most of the forces that act upon a human being are unseen. So if you have a little bit of knowledge about that, or just are open to it, you'll get a lot more things will come into your life than if you think, I know, I'm an American, I was born here, and I believe in this, and I know that. You work with a closed system, you're not gonna be open.
Yeah, and you know, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to Squid Game one more time. Just
talk about anything you want, because I am. I'm gonna fuck about you. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Just because, you know, the audience would be, you know, all over me if I didn't ask.
Yeah.
Technically, your character survives.
Yes.
So I don't know what you're allowed to say or anything, but
I can say anything.
Is there a potential that we're going to see you in season 2 of the show?
Yes, there's a great potential. Look, the director last week, I believe, or the week before, said it's not going to be a prequel. It's going to pick up where it left off. No, and the people that are going to be in it are the people that are still alive. I'm still alive. I'll give you a couple of things you might be interested in. Number one, when I'm knocked unconscious, the guard comes in and he says, VIP4 is down. Is he dead? No, he's alive. He's just unconscious, or whatever the line is. Why did they say that? Why did they do that scene? That has nothing to do with any fucking thing in that movie. It's completely, it doesn't match up. It's not important to any story. It's not a part of any story or any plot. It's a separate piece that was put in there. That's clue number one. Clue number two is there is a scene when I'm sitting there, you know, in that big room with the girl with the breasts, and I got my feet on the guy and I'm sitting back, the big idiot. And the waiter, the policeman, lets a cell phone drop down from in his sleeve and starts taking video of me. Why? Why did he do that? That is never explained. It's never referenced again. So there's two. I wasn't killed. He took footage of me that made no sense in the context of that show. And they made a whole scene in a movie. There was no reason to do that scene. You know, he could have just knocked me out there when I tried to rape him or whatever. And that would have been it. And cut. But they then did another scene where this June, the actor, went back to his trailer. All right, Mr. Giuliano, lay on the floor, you're unconscious. You know, and they made a big, you know, that took about 2 hours to shoot that by the time they fooled around with cameras and all that. So it was, I don't know why they did that, if not to set things up for the next season.
Awesome.
It's definitely
awesome.
Interesting narrative threads that, yeah, just.
Yeah, nothing is on accident.
Yeah, never.
And yeah, and,
not in a movie where everything is storyboarded. You know, people have showed me storyboards before, and I go, yeah, okay, that's nice, and I didn't even look at them. They said, no, Mr. Giuliano, this is the storyboard for the first shot. Look at that picture. Okay, move your hand up a little bit more, 2 centimeters back. It's in front of your face. Lean forward about a half an inch. If somebody's going to make a movie with that kind of precision, I promise you that they're not going to shoot a scene with 300 people at X dollars a second for something that doesn't make sense and they're not going to use and isn't relevant to anything else. My supposition is I will be in season 2, but I don't know.
I think the clues are pretty
Yeah. I'd
pretty toward that. Yeah.
I'd say so too. I'd say so too.
Mhm.
And when you get to be my age, you kind of, and not in a bad way, but you kind of look at younger people as not as together as you, you know? You think, well, I mean, guy like this hasn't had the experience I've had. And you kind of, I don't know if it's a superior attitude, but it's some kind of an attitude that some position you take in your mind about younger actors, you know? But this guy, I didn't know when he took I know you've seen a lot of pictures of him now. He's people's most sexiest man in the world. He's got all these ripped and all that 812 pack, and I didn't see any of that. He looked like a fairly handsome 30-year-old something guy, and polite and kind, and didn't speak English that I saw, and was, but I thought, okay, so this is going to be, he'll be okay. I thought probably he's a model or something. No. June's a really good actor. He was present. He was there. He did virtually everything in one take. He was prepared. That was a difficult scene to shoot. Let's talk about that for a minute. I had to take all my clothes off. Now, I had a little cup over my genitalia. They had taken a cup and they taped it in the costume room with cloth. It was a cloth, like plastic egg, and then had this flesh-colored tape. So my genitals were all covered up, but that was it. Now, this is kind of funny, but it's also embarrassing. I knew I was going to do a nude scene. I knew there was some kind of pretend oral sex involved there. So they picked me up at 11, but it was a 2-hour drive to the studio. So at 9 o'clock, I got in the shower and I stayed there for an hour and a half. And I put the soap on and I let it sit and I rinsed it and I put it on again. I put on super clean clothes and underwear and stuff and perspirant. And, because I knew that it was a 2-hour thing and you have to wait around a couple hours before you get on the set. So it was like 5 hours later, I was in front of this guy naked with hot lights. And I thought, I'm going to smell, any human being is going to have an odor. Just impossible not to have some odor coming from your genitalia under hot lights. And I thought, fuck this poor guy, because this was not done with camera angles. He was about 2 inches from my penis. He was right there. I mean, they could have done it another way. They could have had him sitting back a couple of feet. He was sitting on a stool. He wasn't on his knees. He was sitting on the stool. And they could have had him 2 feet back and just put that camera at an angle so it looked like he was there, but they didn't do that. He was right next to my penis as if there was going to be some kind of oral sex. And I thought, fuck, Jesus Christ himself would emit some kind of an odor under these circumstances. That was really embarrassing. And I'll tell you something, the look on his face where he's like looking at me all up, I'm convinced there was no acting required there. That must have smelled something, but as an actor, that's another thing too. If you're going to do a love scene, you brush your teeth and brush your teeth and brush your teeth, and then you dental floss and water pick, and you carry a toothbrush with you. And just before the scene, I have to go to the bathroom, and you brush your teeth again, and you have mouthwash and spray. But you can't really do that if you're naked under a bunch of hot lights. What are you going to do? Take a shower, 2 seconds, you got to just. So that was tough, and it fucked up my concentration, because I had no business thinking about, is there a bad smell and this guy has to endure and I'm so embarrassed. I should have been thinking about my character. Fortunately, it was an easy scene to do, where he just grabs me. He didn't grab anything. He just went like that. It was fake. So yeah, that was weird. And the thing that I thought was going to happen with this movie didn't happen, which is that everybody's, oh, he's fat, he's old, he's ugly, he's gross. Here's his ass. Here's screenshots of his ass. Here's his fat stomach. Nobody said any of that. Because I almost didn't take the movie because I thought that's what's going to happen. But none of that happened. I don't know why it didn't happen, because that's what because, you know, when you're a successful actor, you have more haters than fans. Because there's little, you know, people are jealous. People don't want other people to succeed. They just don't, you know. It's human nature. So if you kind of step out in front of everybody, but in this case, by accident, I just thought it was another acting job. I didn't know. People don't like it, man. People don't want you to be successful. There's, you know, I mean, really, other than your mother, probably, and maybe your wife and girlfriend, whatever it is, your relationship, your partner, nobody else wants you to be fucking successful. Nobody wants you two idiots to be the Coen brothers. They just don't want that, and they won't accept it. And if there's anything they can do to stop that, they will, because they want to be the Coen brothers. So I've had one time I came out of a successful audition, and there was another actor. No, this was before you did them on a cell phone. You had to go and wait and fill out an application. There was 10 actors in the room. Well, the other actor came out, and he took a swing at me, and he was a really big guy, and for some reason I ducked. He tried to beat me up. Big swing at me, and I went down, and I went up and I said, "What is wrong with you?" He said, "Man, you are taking the food out of my daughter's mouth." I said, "Dude, you're supremely fucked up. I'm not taking the food out. The director gave me the part. You got a problem with this casting? You go talk to the director. It's fuck all to do with me. You went in there to get the part. I went in there to get the part. I got the part, okay? And I'm sorry about your daughter. I'm sorry you're having financial." So listen, man, people shoot people. People cut their wrists. People jump out of buildings. People take fentanyl. There's all kinds of crazy shit that happens in this acting world. And I just try to stay clear of it. I'll tell you a real quick story about Patrick Stewart. I was making a movie called Jules Verne's The Mysterious Island in Krabi, in the islands in the south. And we were at this, it was a 6-week shoot, and Patrick Stewart was there. It was a pirate movie. You can see it online. And I was invited to dinner by his personal assistant with Patrick Stewart and other stars of the show. And the guy from Twin Peaks was in that, Laughlin or something like this. Anyway, so there was some drink. I don't drink, part of my religious thing. And everybody was drinking wine, and he looked at me and he said, "Mr. Giuliano, I've heard that you're a vegetarian. Is that true?" "Yes, Mr. Stewart, I am." He said, "Do you feel morally superior to me as a vegetarian? I'm here eating meat. You probably think you're a little bit better than me, don't you, Mr. Giuliano?" "Oh, no, Mr. Stewart, of course." From that moment on, Patrick Stewart never spoke to me. No one in the fucking crew ever spoke to me. None of the cast, only as much as they had to, spoke to me. I was a fucking pariah. What did I do? Nothing. As I tell my children, truth is not important in this world. The perception of truth is important. Somehow, in somebody's mind, I fucking did something by the fact that I was a vegetarian. I didn't say, "Hey, Stewart, I am morally superior to you. Why are you eating that dead animal?" No, I didn't say anything. I was just sitting there eating my whatever I was eating, macaroni and cheese. So I learned something from that. Don't socialize on a movie set. You're not there to fucking socialize. You're not there to meet people in Vinnie Jones was in the movie too. You're not there to meet Vinnie Jones in the bar for drinks after the shoot. That was my first movie. So I said, wow, I'm hanging around with Patrick Stewart and Vinnie Jones and all these guys. Kyle Laughlin or something his name was from Twin Peaks. So wow, I'm a movie star. No, you're not a movie star. You're an actor. So I would recommend that you never go to a cast party. Not never, but pretty much never. Don't go to a cast party. Don't socialize. Understand what you're there for. You're there to act. So now, inevitably, when people say, hey, Jeff, we're having a party. Oh, man, really? Man, I would love to go to that party. Unfortunately, I've got to do this, that, or the other thing, and I just don't do it. So you got to understand what you're there for and what's expected of you and how important it is to the production, because a movie set is like a Swiss watch. There's all these parts that are moving independent. If this clicks in here and moves this, and this drops down, if any one of those gets out of sync, I got fired from a movie. Last story. I got fired from a movie with William Hurt, the big actor. Why did I get fired? Because when I was outside before we started shooting and he was walking into the makeup truck. And I was talking to my girlfriend on the phone, and he walked by. I nodded, he nodded. He walked into his trailer, and then he came out and he leaned around the corner and said, "You're commandeering the entire area." Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll call you back. I'm so sorry, Miss. I was fired. Apparently, Mr. Hurt thought I was speaking too loud on my cell phone. Outside in the middle of a field before any work was happening. Was I? Probably. Probably. Was it worthy of getting fired? No. But I was fired. But I learned so much. Listen, when you're in a movie set, you go there, you're quiet. Doesn't matter how you feel. Just go there. What's going on at home, all that stuff is out the window. Your finances, nothing. You go there, you're quiet, you show up. Hi. And it's fake. I put on a fake personality. Hi, good morning. Because there's always somebody there to meet you with a clipboard and something in their ear. So, hi, how are you? What's your name? Oh, hi, it's really nice to meet you. All fake. So what would you like me to do? Well, Mr. Giuliano, would you go over here to the dressing room or to the makeup room, and then they'll walk you over and sit you down and say, so if you could just hang, yeah, sure, no problem, thank you. And then fake, fake, fake. And then, okay, Mr. Giuliano, time to come to wardrobe. Oh, cool, great, thank you so much. I don't engage them in conversation. I don't ask them about their boyfriend or she's kind of cute or try to pick up, whatever it is. That's what I do. And then it's like, all right, Mr. Giuliano, we're going to go to the set now. Okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. And here's the director. Good morning, sir. How are you? Good morning, Jeffrey. What would you like me to do? What do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? Well, would you go and stand over there and we're going to do a run through? Yes, sir, I will. Thank you so much. And you do that, and that's how you behave on a film set. And when it's over, they'll go, that's a wrap for Jeffrey Giuliano, hey, like that. And then you go, hey, thank you. It was really great to work with you all. Thank you so much. Bye. And you go into the thing, you take off, you wash your face, you get in the car, and you go home. That's it. Nothing else. And if you do that, people will say, how was it working with Jeffrey? Oh, he was fine. As opposed to, he's difficult. Because if there's one kiss of death in Hollywood, it's those two words. He's difficult. Whether you're difficult or not, doesn't matter. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. But if somebody gets it in their head to say that you're difficult, you're pretty much fucked. Because when that comes around again to the next movie, how was it working with Jeffrey? Well, I don't know personally. I didn't work with him, but I hear he's difficult. I now overcompensate for that and I'm super, hi, how are you? And it's not the way I am, but I don't want to take any chance that I'm going to in any way. I had that situation in a movie I made for the BBC recently, 2 years ago in Kuala Lumpur called The Singapore Grip, where the woman said to me, hello, Jeffrey. It's all phony. Hello, Jeffrey. Thank you for coming to all this way to Kuala Lumpur to make the movie. We're very excited to have you in the cast. Well, thank you. I'm the producer. And I said, I had no idea. And something in the way I said it was a little bit rude or denigrating. And as soon as it came out, I thought, fuck, that's not what I meant, but I know that sounded weird. And she went like that. And I was cut out of that movie. I was cut out. I was paid a lot of money to come there and have a big part in that movie. And that fucking woman cut me the fuck out because I immediately jumped on it and said, oh, well, it is a real play, but it was too late. It was too late. It was too late. I said something which sounded rude. If you had a tape recording of it or a film of it, it would definitely look like I was being an arrogant idiot, but I didn't mean it. It was just the way it slipped out. But I was cut out of that movie as a direct result of me saying whatever I said. Like, I think I said, she said, maybe I made X movies. I said, well, I had no idea, as if like, oh, you did? Oh, really? But it wasn't that. It sounded like that. So you got to be, it's a minefield. A movie set is a benevolent dictatorship if you're lucky. It's not a democracy. You don't have a fucking vote. You don't have any rights. It's a minefield and you got to be very careful. I thought that would be instructive to anyone out there who's interested in making movies, there you go.
Yeah, no, that's appreciated. That's a lot of what we like to talk about and do. And, having someone like you give those on-set experiences and give that piece of advice that people wouldn't think to give, it's really beneficial and helpful. So thank you for
it's easy as fuck to get into trouble on a movie set. That's without even trying. I'll give you another example. I was supposed to be in the van at 7 in that Michael Madsen movie. I was supposed to be in the van at 7 o'clock. I got there. This happened twice to me, but I'll tell you about this one. I got there and the guy said, it's 7:01. You got 10 people in this van, 300 people waiting on the set for you. And who do you think you are, Mr. Hollywood? It's 7:01. You're supposed to be here at fucking 7 o'clock. There's mechanisms in a movie and you're disturbing the balance of the movie. I'm really sorry. Get in a car. And that happened to me. And I deserved it. I once interviewed Katharine Hepburn when I was a writer. And I was to be at her house at 10 o'clock. So I thought, well, she's a big movie star. Wow, Katharine Hepburn. I should get there a little early. So don't risk being late. So I rung the doorbell and there was a window and Katharine Hepburn, she said, do you know what time it is, young man? I said, oh, Miss Hepburn, it's 4 minutes to 10. And what time is our appointment? Well, it's at 10. So you're 4 minutes early? Yeah, slam. She slammed the window down. You can't be early. You can't be late, And it's easy to get into trouble on a movie set. Okay, there you go. There's a master class. What not to do on a fucking movie set.
That just sounds overly stressful on top of all the other stressors that are just happening on it. And the fact that, as you're saying, like, it seems like you have to start acting before the cameras are even rolling on it.
I keep my script in my, every other people don't do this. And I don't know where they get that confidence. People go in and they don't have it. There's no script. The only script you find on a set is mine. I keep it in my, if I'm sitting down, I put it under my ass, and just while they're fucking around, just before they say, okay, I got it. And then, okay, I got it. Or I'll have it under here. I put it sometimes under my arm if I've got a jacket on. That script is right next to me so that I can refer to that thing just before they say action. I'll look at that script. Okay, I got it. But I mean, other people, I'm the only one who does that. Everybody else just like knows there's, I know the lines, but I don't. I remember there was I know what it was. I was in this movie where somebody shot me. And I had those squibs on that explode with the blood. And it took like 45 minutes to put them on, and they put the shirt on, and they fucked around, and they said, action. And I went, oh, and I fell down. And they said, what are you doing? You're supposed to like, grab your chest, look down, look up, and slowly fall down. All right, get him a new shirt, get the guys in here with another hour. All these people are waiting now. It was one of the most horrific experiences of my life. I got it on the second take. But you just really have to know what you are doing when you're on a movie set, or you can cause a great distress, and people won't, and then they won't hire you again. They just won't hire you. I'm lucky because my performances are good, and the finished product. I'll tell you, that's another thing. Pretty much all is forgotten if you put in a good performance. But you can't rely on that. That's just like, shit, that didn't go very well. But 2 years later, oh shit, the performance was great. People will kind of remember that, but it's harder to stay out of trouble than it is to get into trouble on a movie set. It's difficult.
Yeah, and with all that being said, and with your story about Katharine Hepburn, I really appreciate the fact that you let us start a little early. So because we were also a few minutes early.
I was meaning to talk to you about that.
Well, honestly, we got in 10 minutes early. We're surprised you still wanted to do it that right. But no, that's interesting about the script, because I mean, like, the way I see it, you know, I graduated college 2 years ago. I see no harm looking at the notebook walking into the test. You know, what's the harm in that? You know?
I understand what happens if you fuck up a line.
Yeah.
It's not just embarrassing, it just stops a machine. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just like going down 70 miles an hour in a car and slamming on the brakes. Everything has to stop. Everything pushes forward, and everybody, and I know that those people that aren't involved with the acting, the grips, the best boys, the runners, the lighting guys are going, oh, Jesus Christ, can we get this thing over with? I want to get out of here. I got to, whatever it is, you know. And how much does it cost per minute to shoot a Netflix movie? How much would that be with 300 people standing around and equipment rental and all that?
Quite a lot. Very.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Giuliano, we could speak with you for 4 hours about this shit. This has been one of the most fun, exciting interviews we've ever done. But, you know, I got to go to my day job in the morning, and so does this guy. And, you know, just the fact that you took the time to do this and talk with us, it means the world. We just wanted to say thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And if there's anything that you want to promote or say anything before you go, you know, the floor is yours, sir.
All right. Well, I would invite people to go to my YouTube channel, the Jeffrey Giuliano channel. I would invite people to go to jeffreygiuliano.com. That's GEOFFREY GIULIANO. I would invite people to join me on Instagram at Jeffrey Actor, GEOFFREY ACTOR, or indeed my TikTok, which is not for old people, but anyway, it's for Squid Game Confidential. You know, all this dancing around in the bedroom. What the fuck is this? You know, this is a poor substitute for any kind of perceptible talent that I've ever seen. Woo, dancing around. Okay, wow, you're an influencer. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know. But okay, that's Squid Game Confidential. But most importantly, I have a Facebook page called, or there is a Facebook page of my fans or people that like the work I'm doing, maybe a little bit, is called VIP4's Squid Game Universe on Facebook. That's a private thing. I'm one of the admins. I'll let you in. This guy I don't know, but you is okay. So so that's it. Yeah. Thank you very much for an opportunity to speak intelligently about this business that we're in. Obviously, most of the interviews aren't like this. I thought, by contrast, since you're filmmakers, we take a deeper dive than normal.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, and have a good night, sir. Again,
thank you.
I think it's good morning for him.
Oh,
right
it
now.
is. It is good morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I got work to do. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good one.